We're going to be putting DSLRs and mirrorless head to head to compare them in every way that actually matters. Autofocus, image quality, video performance, and the lens ecosystem. The mirrorless jump isn't just a trend anymore. It's become an actual upgrade in almost every meaningful way. Your video features, autofocus, stabilization, power, everything has been upgraded. Every major brand, Canon, Fujifilm, Nikon, Panasonic, are all packing their new mirrorless cameras with features that DSLR bodies cannot compete with. Let's start with the obvious one, size and weight. Mirrorless cameras cut out that mirror box, which reduces the bulk and the weight without losing any image quality. No matter what you're shooting, having a camera that is lighter is going to be the #1 reason to upgrade to mirrorless. Let's take these two cameras for an example, the Canon R10 and the Canon 70D. Both of these hold an APS-C sensor, but one weighs 750 grams and the other weighs 420. Not only are mirrorless cameras lighter, but they are also smaller. So if you take a look at this R10 here compared to this 70D, as you can see, the R10 is considerably smaller. Now, with a smaller size means you can fit more stuff in your bag, like lenses, your gimbals or whatever. And also it means that you're gonna be able to use it for a longer period of time on the shoot because of that weight difference. And here's the thing, you're not giving up anything with that size and weight. You're still getting the same sensor size, but you're getting it with better performance, better autofocus. You're just losing that old mechanical mirror system that you just don't need anymore. Now let's talk autofocus. This is the moment where mirrorless really left DSLR cameras behind. DSLR cameras have a very limited number of autofocus points. Take the 5D Mark IV, for example. This camera only has 61 autofocus points, all clustered together in the center of the frame. Now, comparing this to a mirrorless camera like the R5 Mark II, which has over 5,000 auto points scattered across the entire sensor, meaning you get a much better coverage and more accurate autofocus. So what I've got here is the 5D Mark IV set up on a tripod, and we're gonna shoot some footage of Mitch here just to show you how quick the autofocus is on the mirrorless in comparison to the DSLR. So we're doing a simple thing of just a tap focus on the background to the foreground of our subject to see, how much quicker mirrorless really is. So we've got all the settings set to the fastest autofocus speeds. So as you can see at the moment, the 5D Mark IV is tracking on his face. And then the minute I touch the background, we focus on the background and then back to his face. There we go. So as you can see, it's okay. It's relatively fast, but now when we switch over to the mirrorless, you'll be able to see just how much faster it really is. We're now set up with the R5 Mark II, and as you can see, even though we are also set to 105mm like we were on the 5D, it actually looks a little bit more zoomed out. Now that's because on the 5D Mark IV, when you shoot 4K, you're shooting crop. So that's another thing to bear in mind with DSLRs is if you wanted to shoot 4K video, most DSLRs, if not all of them, are going to be cropping on that image, whereas something like this R5 Mark II here, or many other mirrorless cameras on the market, they will be shooting using the full frame. So you're getting the absolute most out of it. So now if I hit record on this one here, and we can just see how much quicker that snaps in between background and foreground. It's almost instant. So you can see there is a huge upgrade with the autofocus. It isn't just small improvements we're seeing on mirrorless cameras in terms of autofocus. The technology has developed so much over the last 10 years that these are so much more capable now than the DSLRs. They're able to identify individual eyeballs, animals, vehicles, you name it, this thing can focus on it bang on. Now obviously the focus will depend from brand to brand on who's better, but overall the experience with mirrorless cameras and autofocus is night and day. Mirrorless cameras allow you to shoot in crazy high resolutions. They have massively improved IBIS and they have much, much better color science. If you're shooting on a DSLR, like I said earlier with the 5D Mark IV, when you're shooting 4K in these, it crops. And when you crop, you get a tighter video so you can't shoot as wide, and it generally results in a softer video.
Another key advantage you'll notice with mirrorless cameras is how they handle fast motion. What you're seeing here is called rolling shutter, that jello light distortion when panning quickly or capturing fast-moving subjects. DSLRs typically struggle more with this because of their mechanical shutter systems and slower sensor readout speeds. Mirrorless cameras, on the other hand, use electronic shutters and have much faster sensor readout speeds. This means significantly reduced rolling shutter, giving you cleaner footage when shooting action, panning shots, or anything with quick movement. It's one of those improvements that really makes a difference in real-world shooting.
Alright, low light performance. This is where people assume there is no difference because both cameras have great sensors. Shooting on a DSLR camera, you're really not going to be pushing your ISO anywhere above 6400. Otherwise, your image is going to be rendered useless. Mirrorless cameras' sensors today, especially full-frame cameras, deal with low-light performance like absolute champions. Newer mirrorless cameras just deal with low light better. They recover more information and give you cleaner files to work with. If you're doing any serious video work, DSLRs aren't even in the conversation anymore. Mirrorless cameras just outcompete them in every way. Let's talk viewfinders. Now, this is one thing that people claim the DSLR has over the mirrorless cameras. That's because on a DSLR camera, you're looking through a mirror directly at your scene, so you don't get any lag and it's pretty bright. Now, I sort of disagree with this point. With an electronic viewfinder in the mirrorless cameras, not only are you seeing a scene as it is, but you also get to view your white balance, your focus, and you can change heaps and numbers of settings through the viewfinder that you simply can't do on the DSLR. Another thing to note is when using an optical viewfinder on a DSLR, if you're shooting bursts, you're going to get blackout. Your shutter's going to get in the way and you're going to lose that frame for a split second. With an EVF, you stay locked in the whole time, so you never lose focus of your subject. Once you get used to using an EVF, going back to an optical viewfinder feels cumbersome and slow. Being able to access all of your information through the viewfinder, I think you'll find is extremely useful. The electronic viewfinder on mirrorless cameras is effectively just a small screen of what your sensor is seeing. So when you're looking through the viewfinder on an EVF, you're actually able to see your exposure in real time, unlike on an optical viewfinder through your DSLR, which is effectively just looking through mirrors, so you actually have no idea of what your exposure looks like. An electronic viewfinder can take a little time to get used to, but honestly, as soon as you're used to it, it is so worth it. Now this is where it gets interesting, lenses. Brands like Canon and Nikon have been making lenses for decades, but as you may have seen, they have recently changed their lens mounts. That's because mirrorless cameras use new lenses that are specifically designed for the mirrorless cameras. So yes, lenses designed for mirrorless cameras are the future. They are lighter, they're faster, and they're sharper. Next up, burst shooting. With the introduction of electronic shutters in mirrorless cameras, they are now able to shoot at frames per second that are simply impossible on DSLR cameras. I'm going to be testing the two cameras by taking some pictures of the flying foxes overhead. I'm going to be putting the R5 II in the electronic shutter mode, and obviously with the DSLR, it's only mechanical shutter. So you can see that the FPS on the 5D Mark IV is only 7, right? And then when you compare it to the R5 II, where you're shooting at 40 frames per second, you have so many more frames in there. So it is a hell of a lot easier to be using a mirrorless camera when shooting something like wildlife or any fast-paced action at all, purely because you have those higher frame rates, so you're gonna miss less. One more thing to note with DSLRs, it's very common after they've done burst mode for about a second or two, it really starts to slow down. Mirrorless cameras, however, as long as your card is fast enough, should hold up those frames for a decent amount of time. Ultimately, there's never been a better time to upgrade to mirrorless. There are so many brands right now releasing amazing cameras at really good, affordable prices. So upgrading is really a no-brainer. If you do own any old DSLR gear, you can come into George's and we can actually trade that in and then help you find your new mirrorless camera.
Look, the verdict is clear. Mirrorless cameras are better in almost every way that matters. Autofocus, video, speed, and versatility. The entire industry has moved on. If you want to dive deeper into any of these features, check out our blog for more detailed guides. And let us know in the comments, what's the #1 feature that would make you switch to mirrorless?